Hey y'all, it's Laura and welcome to a brand new series we're going to be doing every single Saturday for the next few months, and we're going to be focusing on my go-to designs. Now I have about 15 base designs that I use as foundations for all of my layouts, and while I do sometimes combine those foundations and mix them up a little bit, generally speaking, these are my go-to how I start a layout. And so I wanted to go through that with you guys, that process, and talk a little bit about how I decide what foundation that I use and how I'm going to make it different from the last time I used the same foundation. So let's dive in with the very first go-to design, which is a very simple vertical. So with our vertical layout design, a very basic vertical design is to just have a large stripe of paper somewhere on the layout. It doesn't matter if it's on the side, if it's in the center, however you like. I generally prefer to put it off to one side or the other, just so that my photo lands near the center. You can also go the opposite way and doing a stripe down the center and have your photos offset on the side. In this case, not only have I done a vertical stripe down one side, I've also gone with a vertical long title. Now, to take that to the next level, here's this layout. In this layout, I've not only used my vertical stripe, which now houses my photos, so not just having them slightly off of the vertical stripe, but having them fully within the vertical stripe. I've also taken a very long title all the way down the side of the stripe to kind of accentuate the vertical design of this layout. Now, it doesn't have to be a full vertical stripe. You can also do something like this. So this is a set of strips down the side here. They don't go the entire way on the layout. They just have 1, 2, 3 layers of vertical strips. I have decorated the top right corner and the bottom left corner so that, again, with your vertical, you don't have it down the side. This time you have it at the top and bottom, which just, again, accents this vertical look. I've come in with my title and journaling to create a vertical design down the side as well, really laying in heavily to that vertical look. But you don't always have to do that. In this case, I've done my vertical background, but then I've taken the photos in a completely horizontal way. So I have them going the entire length almost of my layout horizontally. And this is a great way to draw into photos that are a little bit simpler, and so maybe they wouldn't stand out quite as much on a layout. So these might not grab your attention right away because the colors are very similar to what's in the background. But because they have such a dominant presence on the layout, not only taking up the vertical space, but the horizontal as well, it really helps to give them the focal image on the page. Now, you don't always have to create your own vertical stripe. Sometimes papers do it for you. So this one is a Pink for Studio paper that had an array of snowflakes down the left side. And instead of trying to fight this design, I just went with it, built up my photos and my vertical journaling underneath to follow the vertical design of the layout and just work alongside it. Another great way to get a vertical design is to use a cut file. So in this case, I've taken a Bella Boulevard cut file and I've cut it in half. It's intended for a 12 by 12 background, and I cut it in half and used it on a 9 by 12. That way I have my vertical design, but I filled it in with a variety of papers in the background, so it's a little bit different. And then I have one photo on and one photo off of the vertical design. These florals here help to keep them together and give them a look of collaboration, like they belong all together, and so that this one doesn't feel awkward hanging off the side. Now, in another idea, you can do 2 vertical strips. These florals help to accentuate the side that I really want to grab your attention, but this is just a fun little addition to have 2 strips instead of just 1. And in this case, I've even added a 3rd strip to accentuate my photos and bring the focus into those first. Because this wood grain does not exist anywhere else on the layout, it's going to pull your attention in. Now this one does a little bit of a combination here. So we have a nice big vertical strip in the background, but our photos are offset They're not in the center, they're offset, which is a little bit more interesting. I've added another little strip of this gold vellum back behind, as well as a strip of blue behind my photos. And then I've added yet another vertical strip for my journaling. So you can pile on quite a few vertical strips of different lengths for an interesting look. Another idea is just to go with a vertical strip of florals or embellishments. These were fussy cut out of a pattern paper, but you could use ephemera if you wanted as stickers as well. And so this adds a really nice vertical look, but in this case, my photos are not attached to this vertical strip. They're out here in space. But because all of these beautiful florals are exactly the same ones that are here, they coordinate and it works. Next up, I have not only a vertical strip housing my photos, I have a vertical title that is going the opposite direction. And that's not something I do super often, but I thought it was a fun way to keep that vertical design, even though these two sides are so separate. All the white space is in between, which normally might give it a bit of a trapped space look. But because my title is vertical and it echoes the vertical nature of the left side of the layout, it coordinates quite well. Now with this layout, I've done something a bit different. I've done two vertical strips, but then I've gone way off the side of them. So I'm just barely touching the vertical strips. However, you'll notice my embellishing is heavily at the top and at the bottom. So it still has a vertical look, even though it's not fully onto the strips themselves. Lastly, this idea. So this is creating a vertical stripe out of smaller pieces of paper. This was one where I'd use 6x6 pieces of paper to create my background. And then I fitted my photos in between. And the only thing outside of that vertical line is my title and journaling. So it's a nice tight within the vertical stripe, but it's not just one piece of paper. It's multiple pieces of paper. So I hope you've enjoyed these ideas. Let me know what you think in the comments below and whether or not the vertical is a design choice that you use as a go-to. Next up, we're going to be doing horizontal. I bet you knew that was coming. So be sure to join me next week for that one on Saturday, as always. And until next time, bye guys.